Thank you, Chantal. I would like to call the Monday, November 17th school board meeting to order. Um, Before we approve the agenda, I just want to acknowledge the passing of our colleague Paige Martineau. Paige served this committee with a deep commitment as an English teacher, as NTA president, and as a steady advocate for our schools. We hold her family, her students, and all who loved her in our prayers tonight. May her memory be a blessing to this community she served so faithfully. Now I would like to have an approval of the agenda. May I have a motion?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
This meeting is being audio and video recorded. I see that there are many people here for public comment. I do want to say that I suspect that some of the comments will not be on the agenda, which means I do not have to permit them. However, I will allow 15 minutes of public comment because I know that this is a very important issue to all of us. So, who is the first person for public comment? Do we have a list? Oh, I'm sorry. 3 minutes per person. We'll do 15 minutes of public comment, but I think Blythe would like to speak first, and then we'll, okay.
Is that okay?
Yes.
Hello. Oh, do I have to step up closer? Okay. Good evening. My name is Blythe Purdon, and I teach second grade special ed at NES. Last spring, I was elected vice president of the Nantucket Teachers Association, and as our community knows, our beloved president, Paige Martineau, passed away on Saturday. Over the past 3 weeks, I have assumed the duties of president and will serve out her term. This is my 7th year on Nantucket, and NTA has always been synonymous with Paige. Got an issue? Talk to Paige. Need contract clarification? Email Paige. I knew her as a union president, but over the last 3 weeks, I have come to know her not only as an educator, but also as a person. Through stories and connections, it is clear that Paige made contributions to our district and island that will endure. As educators, the lives we touch are our legacy. I am reminded of a quote I love about teaching. The best part about teaching is that it matters. The hardest part about teaching is it matters every day. Paige understood that. In every action, whether in her classroom or with our union, she lived that philosophy. As we rebuild what the NTA looks like without Paige, we will lean on one another and continue her legacy, fighting for educational and social justice. I look forward to working with the school committee and our superintendent and our district administration in this role. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Madden Myers.
Hi, my name is Madam Myers, and I come here today to speak on behalf of the Nantucket High School students. Last meeting, I asked if signatures is what we need to voice the student opinion. I come here today with 300 signatures. On Tuesday, me, Eli McKeever, Grace Hanlon, Ruby Stedman, Maya Johnson, and Grace Schroeder walked around the school and asked one simple question. Do you support the construction of a turf football field and a track suitable for home meets? People were excited to have their opinions heard, and their face lit up at the thought of a renovation. Not a single student I asked refused to sign or opposed a turf or track. I will admit that I didn't go around saying, "Do you want to install a cancerous field?" This is because saying yes to turf does not mean saying yes to PFAS. Nobody wants to add dangerous chemicals to our campus. Good thing there are numerous turf brands explicitly claiming to be PFAS-free, such as 1DNA, AstroTurf, Tough Grass, Sin Law, Pro Green, Global Sin Turf, and All Pro Surface Solutions. We want our athletes to continue to bring joy and unity to the community. Just this weekend, the boys and girls soccer teams got together and scrimmaged at the turf fields, although it's postseason and freezing cold. The grass field was frozen and too cold to play. However, the turf field brought us together and brought joy to us all. Sadly, I have to leave this meeting early, but I truly hope that we come to the right decisions and don't just argue what won't work and find a compromise to us all. Thank you.
Thank you. Hayden Roberts.
I'm just gonna touch on the track. Ever since I started running cross country last year, I found it to be my place. Not only have I gained the sentiments toward running, but many other fellow students have as well. Running unites our island community, bringing everyone together. But due to the lack of care that has been shown for running, it has stopped many people from wanting to even try running in the first place. As we know, Nantucket's track and cross country teams are growing each year, and as it currently stands, we don't have what it takes to currently facilitate that growth, not only due to the lack of a track, but also due to the lack of facilities for field events. Our school cannot go on like this. For many years, we have had outdated equipment and facilities that provide no benefit to our students. The prime example of this, our current gravel quote-unquote track. This track brings shame to the names of all other tracks for being non-standard 440 meters, and the worst part about it being gravel. This gravel has caused so many unnecessary injuries and have reduced our training effectiveness. As a student of Nantucket High School, we need this change now. Building new facilities is way past due. We need to start these changes right away, not only for our athletes, but for our community as a whole.
Thank you. Graham, VC.
I believe we should return to the original 2022 athletic plan, created by coaches, parents, and administrators, because it thoughtfully addressed the needs and usage of a growing community. 1 synthetic track and 2 turf fields. One of my favorite things to do is watch my 3 girls out on the fields with their teammates, alive, confident, and part of something bigger. And that is what this moment should be about. Not turf, not grass, not politics. It's about the kids, their experience, their safety, their future, and the legacy we choose to leave. When our kids step onto a field together, the joy they feel, it's real, it's pure. I know it because I lived it once myself many moons ago as a B-level athlete. Even with my very mediocre athletic status, that joy shaped my life because I was part of something bigger, a team. Kids don't make memories staring at screens. They make them out there running, sweating, competing, winning, losing, falling down, and rising again. It's where confidence is born. It's where teammates become family. That's where character is built. But our fields right now, they're unsafe, and that should not be acceptable to any of us. The kids are embarrassed, and other teams don't want to play here. We all heard it straight from them. And we know the truth. Resodding will not fix this. We cannot spend $20 million without addressing the fundamental issue, usage. We've patched, repaired, regraded, reseeded, poured 1.7 million gallons of water on each of these fields, and they still collapse back into bare dirt, mud, ruts, and closures. Fields serving thousands of kids across practices, recess, games, and gym classes cannot magically recover with fresh grass. It will fail again, and the ones who will suffer are the kids. Turf is a sustainable option for Nantucket because we are asking a tiny piece of land to serve an enormous number of athletes across dozens of sports, nearly year-round, and grass cannot do that. Turf can. And I feel comfortable with my kids playing on these surfaces because I know that they will be safer than the fields we have today, by leaps and bounds. On Nantucket, we must build smarter and choose surfaces that maximize our limited space. And look who's here standing up for this, our high school kids. Those kids who've lived the reality of rundown fields and are advocating not for themselves. They're actually paving the way for those coming behind them. That is leadership, and that is heart. So the question becomes, are we going to match their courage? Are we going to rise to their example? Let's build a facility that pulls kids outside, one that makes them practice, improve, and belong. Let's build the field of their dreams, because when we do, they will keep showing up. They will play with Whaler pride. Change, people, it's inevitable. But progress is a choice. So we can stand still and watch our kids fall behind, or we can build something worthy of them and their legacy. Thank you.
Thank you, Graham. Eli McKeever?
Hi, my name is Eli McKeever, and I'm here speaking on the turf fields. As a football player, using the turf fields using the fields every day, I've noticed from my teammates that they have been complaining about the hard ground as it gets colder through the season, and hitting the ground when it's cold is not fun at all. But as I walked around getting signatures, connecting back to what Madden said, I noticed that there was a spark in people's eyes. There was no hesitation. A lot of people agreed with me. And I feel that as I approached many of my football friends and lacrosse friends, a lot of them felt like they were in full support, and that I said that I was advocating for them. They all felt that this was a perfect alternative than the grass fields getting torn up every single preseason, and how it's just unsustainable. And we keep spending absurd amount of money to repair the grass field, even if it's getting torn up every single day, and rain and other conditions will just tear it up. But for turf, like the rain and the cold, it won't affect that at all. People will be able to do preseason for lacrosse. I know a lot of kids like to get in there early, do some wall ball, get some shots in. But many kids can't do that on the grass. As we said in the first meeting, there was a ton of dust and stuff for lacrosse goalies. With turf, that would be not an issue at all. I feel that just how unsustainable the grass is, you can't do many things other kids are doing in other schools. Also, I feel it's giving us a disadvantage playing bigger schools, bigger programs, as they're practicing on turf every single day, playing games on turf. But we're stuck on grass, having to battle our own conditions on the field rather than getting better and honing our skills. Overall, I think that the turf would benefit many lacrosse and football players along with the track, because the track, many people didn't even know that the girls' state meet was this Saturday. And I think that bringing a new turf and a whole new facility to that track and running area would bring more recognition to the track and field teams, because running is a huge part of my life, and I know a lot of people's lives, and running could be a huge. It just brings people together and bring community together, and I feel that turf and a new track would do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Eli. Kate Garrett?
Thank you, school committee. When I began researching synthetic turf, I looked closely at how the town of Burrillville, Rhode Island, approached this exact issue. Their community raised many of the same concerns we're hearing today: potential PFAS exposure, impacts on groundwater, and long-term health effects. In response, Burrillville chose to rely on technology, independent expertise, and transparent scientific testing. They hired TRC, a third-party consulting firm with more than 50 years of experience. TRC tested for up to 70 PFAS compounds in the turf selected by Burrillville using validated professional laboratory methods. The conclusion was clear. Any PFAS detected in turf materials were extremely low, orders of magnitude below EPA health risk thresholds, and posed no risk to human health, groundwater, surface water, or the aquifer. Many results were so low they were listed as ND, or non-detected. On October 27th of this year, just a few weeks ago, with this evidence in hand, the Burrillville Planning Board approved turf in a 6-3 vote for their high school, which included 2 members who had originally opposed it. One board member stated, "The extensive environmental testing has been conducted and has proven no environmental risk. Their decision was based on data, not fear." This is the model of decision making I believe in. As a mother and ER nurse, I also think about the everyday risk our kids face. Last spring, my 10-year-old sprained her ACL after stepping onto a hole in a grass field, a season-ending injury caused by the natural imperfections of a surface we struggle to maintain safely on this island. And beyond safety concerns, grass fields require significant fertilization and heavy water use, especially during drought conditions. Those demands create significant environmental challenges for our aquifer and our community. I am so very grateful for the people who are focused on PFAS sources that are proven to be harmful, such as firefighting foam, cosmetics, and household cleaning products. But when independent testing shows a technology to be safe, and when that technology reduces injuries and reduces strain on our natural resources, we owe it to our kids to pay attention to the science. I'm also glad to see the town and the school beginning to pay closer attention to the real danger e-bikes pose to our young community. Statistically speaking, unintentional injuries, including car accidents, falls, and e-bike incidents, are the leading cause of death for teenagers nationwide. That is where our attention truly belongs. Let's choose truth, science, and modern technology to support the health and safety of our children. I respectfully ask that we move forward together using the thoughtful and well-researched 2022 plan as our foundation. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate. Rich? There's two more. I'll allow it. Thank you. Rich Brannigan. Oh.
Thank you. I'm Rich Brannigan, and I'm not the soccer coach. I appreciate the opportunity to speak tonight briefly. This is a big issue. We've been dealing with it for a number of years. I didn't attend last week's meeting. I was out of town. I viewed it over the weekend, and I got to say the high school student athletes knocked it out of the park. I thought they spoke right on point, and again, they spoke right on point tonight, and I really appreciate their interest and their passion about this issue. If we do grass, option 1 and 2, we're going to be back here 3-4 years from now. It's going to be the same issue. Another 20, 22 million, 23 million, because the grass field will be overutilized. That brings us to the issue of usage. If I remember correctly, a well-maintained grass complex can accommodate 210 hours. So football, lacrosse, a turf complex can accommodate 10 times that, 2,100 hours. And that would accommodate football, lacrosse, field hockey, soccer. I think the issue is pretty straightforward. I don't want to be back here 4 years from now with the same issue, and let's get this done as quickly as possible for the student athletes who deserve a better complex. Thank you.
Thank you. Hadley Dutra.
Thank you. And thank you to the school committee for all the work that you do. I appreciate all the time that you put in to these meetings and to hearing all the concerns and ideas. Just to echo a couple of things that other people have said about grass, I'm glad we're talking about it because grass requires a lot of irrigation, a lot of fertilizer, mowing, sodding. While the idea of grass is nice, the reality is that it's an environmental hazard, especially since Nantucket was put into a critical state of drought in October, which is the second highest tier of drought that you can have in the state of Massachusetts. We've been in a state of drought since June and a critical state since October. So in order to maintain grass, we have to consider what's required and the state of drought that the island's currently in. Again, I appreciate all of your time.
Thank you, Hadley. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Public comment is now closed. And we'll move on to the superintendent's update.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. With the blessing of the chair, I'd like to go a little bit out of order from the agenda in order to allow those in the audience. I'm assuming that you are here to hear about the Vito Capizzo Stadium renovation timeline. So I'm going to start with that, after which, if I see a lot of kids here, you can head back to get homework done and have a good night's sleep. So, based on the school committee's request after the November 6th workshop meeting the last time we met, I am sharing a rough timeline with next steps regarding the committee's decision to support the Capizzo Stadium project as is, which is a grass field or an asphalt track, or to support changes in the field and or track surfaces to artificial turf field and a synthetic coated track. The Nantucket Public Schools has engaged with Weston and Sampson Engineers Incorporated to provide updated consultation on the environmental and health considerations related to synthetic athletic fields. This work builds on a similar review completed for the district in 2021, but reflects the latest information on PFAS, turf manufacturing practices, testing methods, and regulatory standards. The project team from Weston and Sampson includes an emerging contaminants technical lead, a risk assessor toxicologist, and a sports field designer architect who together will evaluate current PFAS detection technologies and applicable state and federal guidance, artificial turf products marketed as PFAS-free or low PFAS, including independent verifications data, environmental and health impacts associated with installing, using, maintaining, and disposing of synthetic turf systems, and natural and hybrid field alternatives, including maintenance needs, costs, and long-term life cycle considerations. This firm will develop a report with recommendations tailored to the Nantucket climate, soils, and community priorities, and will present these findings publicly to the school committee at one of our 2 December meetings, still to be determined, either December 8th or December 16th. So I wanted to share that particular part of the timeline. In addition, I did speak with Madden Myers about a possible student forum. I am pleased to see that she has had conversations with students around their thoughts. Having a student forum would give an opportunity for students who perhaps weren't able to sign a petition or weren't approached to be able to ask questions. The student forum, if possible, and if we're able to organize it in the next following weeks, we certainly can do so. School committee can come as spectators and only as listeners. They cannot participate in any way, but you can certainly hear how the students are feeling and the questions that they may have. We can certainly do that, so I hope to include that prior to our next meetings in December. And again, that is currently the timeline that we have, and hopefully this information can be shared in a consecutive report that will provide the information that people are looking for. So happy to take questions on this, and then obviously people can head out if they...
Questions? Yeah, Vince?
Just for the timeline.
Yes.
What's the timeline for getting a decision to the town and to the finance committee for what we want to put forward for town meeting? What's the absolute deadline?
So I don't have the exact date of the absolute deadline, but I do know that the next step would be to have whatever project is supported by the school committee brought to the capital committee, in which case they will make a determination on their support or not. And after that, it would move to the finance committee. This will have to happen in December, and it will have to happen sooner rather than later. My hope is that we can have an answer by the 16th, in which case then these committees can certainly meet on it. I believe that the warrant needs to be decided on and determined by the end of January, in which case printing happens shortly thereafter. In looking at the timeline that happened in 2022, we were approximately 2 months ahead of where we were at that point. So the public forum, for those of you and myself who have remember that 2 years ago, That happened in early January. So we are ahead of schedule, which will allow us a little more time to make any sort of supporting decisions, and then move that forward towards a potential article on town meeting floor.
Thank you.
Any questions? No? Any questions?
Okay?
Okay.
All right, I will continue. November student enrollment. This month, we have 2 fewer students than we did in October. We are at 1,660 students, down 2 from 1,662. The breakdown includes 1 additional student at NES, no change at NIS, 1 fewer student at CPS, and 2 fewer students at NHS. So we are seeing, again, slight decline. Really, this isn't much of a decline in any way. It's the same as October, more or less, but we will certainly watch in the coming months any sort of movement or fluctuation. Again, it's important for us to keep our enrollment in mind as we continue with budget planning for 26-27. The draft FY27 school calendar is truly hot off the presses in that it has not even been shared yet with our leadership or our union for feedback. So you are seeing a very preliminary draft. Just to give you a heads up on this, we do need to look at some issues because Labor Day is on September 7th. Which means if we follow tradition of having school start the day after Labor Day, we will have a lovely long summer vacation, but that will push us very, very close to not being able to cover the 5 weather days that are required within the fiscal year. And so we have, on this calendar, made 1 slight adjustment. I don't know if this is going to be in agreement by our union and also by our administration. So it's just a draft, like I said, threw it out there. There are some options that can come into play. Currently, as you see it, you will notice that the Wednesday before Thanksgiving in November, on November 25th, is not a vacation day. It is a half day. So that is an option in order to get those green days in June to happen before the 30th. Another option would be to push our full PD day in March back into a pre-service day in August. So that would basically make our pre-service days in August and September 4 consecutive days, and we would not have a professional development day in March. That is another option. There is the other option, which tends to be quite unpopular, but certainly something to discuss. We could begin school before Labor Day. So those are all things that need to be discussed and shared, and so we just wanted to give you a kind of a heads up as to the challenges that we are seeing. We also know that we are headed into negotiations with the NTA, and there is always a possibility that things may change around professional development days, and that would come into play as well. So just giving you a heads up. I hope to have a more concrete version for a vote at one of our next meetings in December. Happy to take questions on that, or I can move on to the next one.
Yeah, Vince?
If you had to go into earlier in September, you're looking at Friday the 4th, and the difficulties.
Yep. Like I said, I believe from past reports that is an option that no one will vote for, or very few will vote for. Again, that is a discussion that can certainly come out and should, because it is, there are other options. There are other possibilities for half days here and there and such. And instead of vacation days, I feel personally, if you want my own opinion, but it really isn't up to me, it's up to all of the others, that perhaps a pre-service day is added, as we have done in the past. We changed our contract at the last contract negotiations to move from 4 pre-service days in the beginning of the week right before the start of school to 3. So for this specific day being unique, this specific year being unique and having Labor Day so late, it might behoove us to move that day up. That is only my personal opinion. I am not the sole decider of this. Everyone else has to weigh in on this. So this is very preliminary. I want this to be very clear to everybody. This is not set in stone in any way, and we will be discussing this at the principals and directors meeting tomorrow. And I will be sharing this draft with union leadership so that they can move forward in sharing it with their constituents. So.
One more question for me. I just don't understand why Monday, August 31st is in red lettering.
That might just be an error because I
Simple.
don't think there's any reason
Simple answer.
for it to be in red. Early, that could be the case. On the 30th, we do have a new staff orientation. So, and that would be the Monday of the week. So that's the way things went. This year, we had Monday new staff orientation. If we were to add a pre-service day, we would most likely push new staff orientation to August 28th and have our pre-service days start Monday and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So all of that, again, is to be discussed. So,
Good luck.
thanks.
All right.
And finally, just a quick overview of the Massachusetts Association of School Superintendent and Massachusetts Association of School Committee joint conference, which was really quite lovely. We missed your attendance. Hopefully next year we'll be able to be together. I was very happy to have been accompanied by Katie Bedell, the school committee clerk, and we attended the conference on Thursday and Friday of last week. There were some really excellent keynote speakers and sessions that we both attended separately and together. The keynote speaker on Thursday was the New York Times bestselling author Amanda Ripley, who discussed the concept of high conflict and how to avoid the trap of high conflict. I also attended an excellent session on developing and maintaining leadership strength in the midst of unpredictability, anxiety, and distress, where I learned some really great nuggets around organizational psychology and the importance of psychological safety to create resilient teams with strong emotional intelligence. I also attended a very interesting session on the use of social media in districts and by school committees, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So definitely in the words of former rep Jim Hardy, who was our representative from MASC, you could, but why would you, with regard to posting on social media? So interesting to hear that. Friday had a panel of individuals as their keynote that shared information on federal and fiscal outlooks for education. Not the most positive outlook, unfortunately. We are looking at and expecting fairly drastic cuts in federal grants based on the current administration. Jim Browdy was the panel facilitator. He has a program on Boston Public Radio, a strong proponent of public school education. So that was very interesting to hear him speak and also the other attendees. We also had other sessions. Katie attended the subcommittee's 101 session, and I'm sure she'll share a little bit more. It focused on using subcommittees to improve meeting efficacy and efficiency. She also participated in a social media session with me, which we talked about, and the importance of schools needing to verify media consent from students' guardians before posting content, and underscored the importance of disabling public commenting, which is interesting, especially on social media. Katie also participated in a full-day COSCAP session. COSCAP is the Council of School Committee Administrative Personnel. And this included an open meeting law refresher and provided opportunities to collaborate with colleagues from other districts and compare organizational practices. So we found it to be always useful and helpful and interesting, and certainly invite you to join us again next year in November. And
next year it's a little bit earlier and it's further away.
Really?
Where is it?
I think past Boston, is it Danvers?
Oh,
It's not that
Devon,
the holiday
is my guess.
weekend.
It's November.
I'm going.
Okay, because the holiday weekend.
It's always a tough weekend, that's the problem.
I believe it's Devon's. They have a strong connection to the Department of Education, MASS. It's more of a, it's kind of a middle of the state, so, yeah, it's, they have a big complex, so my guess is that that would make sense, so. Is it Devon's?
I don't know, I was looking at the date, November 5th.
November 5th, a little earlier.
I'll email you.
Okay, thank you. That's it? Okay. We're going to move on to presentations and discussions of issues to the committee, and we will start with Jack Pearson regarding the Bacchus Lane Baseball Dugout donation.
Good evening. My name is Jack Pearson. I'm the varsity baseball head coach, preparing for my sixth season in the position. Prior to that, I coached the middle school and junior varsity program for 3 years. Thanks for the opportunity to speak with you guys tonight. Pretty excited about what we have to present, which are the project to construct new dugouts in the Bacchus Lane baseball field. In your packets, you'll see my original letter, which highlights that the project will be completely community-based, private donation-based, funded. So there's no ask of the town, there's no ask of the school, or the school budget. I do want to take the opportunity to thank some specific individuals who have helped me in this process, because we've been working on it, believe it or not, for about 1.5 to 2 years just to get to presenting here to you guys tonight. Sam Myers with Nantucket Yard Guard, Brooke Meerbergen, who did the architectural drawings for us, Nate and Aisha Barber, who are going to donate the building, the actual construction of the dugout should we get through this. Island Lumber for donation of materials, Toscana for concrete. All of the project will be through the proper channels. First, we presented to the superintendent and the director of facilities, Chip Clooney. They're both in support of the project. HDC will be involved also, building permits, contractors that are insured and licensed, whatever they ask of us in order to accomplish getting these dugouts built on what's already a pretty awesome and new field that we feel lucky to have, and we take extra measure to take good care of. Getting these constructed would be like a nice cap on an already great facility. And if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Vince?
I have about 9 questions. I have them written out, so
Yeah, well,
if you don't mind.
go forth, go
Thank
forth.
you. So I got to read through this earlier today. I quite like this, and I quite like lots of aspects of this. One of my favorite parts about it is that it's community-based. It's what makes Nantucket, dragging all of these people together, getting it all to work cohesively, and that is an amazing effort, and you're to be congratulated for it. I do have some questions. These are kind of devil's advocate type questions. I'm not trying to knock the project, I'm just trying to field test.
Okay.
So, a couple of questions. Why is this baseball field and not any of the others further to the north, such as the one by central office or the one by the high school field chosen? Why this field?
Because this is the field that the varsity baseball team plays and practices.
Okay.
Was that the answer to the question? Maybe I miss.
But why are we prioritizing one field over any other?
Because there's several reasons. One, I want an amazing field to have a finished field. And at the present, we're the only field that we play on our schedule that don't have dugouts. And I know that there's varying degrees of familiarity with the sport. Baseball fields and dugouts. They're like one. They're together, right? For a litany of reasons, weather protection, equipment protection, player safety, privacy. Sometimes it feels like I have an entire, I have like 50 kids in my dugout because with chain link fences, we have student bodies standing right behind it. There's a lot of chatter. There's a lot of distraction. But to further answer the question, I don't want to stop here at Bacchus Lane. Our goal as a group, and Sam is here, I saw him join, he and I have had that conversation. The goal is to get this done at this field and see where the next baseball fields might be. Currently, it's in the middle school playing fields, but we want to build dugouts there. The Little League has dugouts presently. So, and lastly, like we're building a program, right? And there's been a resurgence in the sport. We've grown from having a middle school team and a varsity team to now having a dedicated JV team, which first was serviced by middle school and freshmen, and now we've got enough players and enough interest in the sport to have players of the appropriate age playing at the JV level, 6th and 7th and 8th graders only playing at the middle school level, and it's my hope that we want the youth to be aspiring to play on this great team, this great field and this great team, and aspire to be a part of a great program. And I think what you'll see in the drawings are like really legitimate, well thought out, beautiful dugouts. And it's kind of a treat to play on a field with great dugouts.
Super. So you've kind of answered my next question. Will the other fields be improved later? You kind of covered that, so I'll skip that one. What is currently on the ground in these two orange areas there, see the parent screen? What's there right now?
Benches and chain link fence. So it's a good size bench with a back, and then it's fenced, on all four sides with a couple of gates for entrance and egress. No roof. I was thinking about it. Couldn't remember whether it was this season or last season, but we had like a rainy Saturday and teams traveled all the way out, and Mike Horton shows up with the largest tarp I've ever seen, and we're wrapping tarp over just to keep equipment dry so that we don't miss out on playing the game. But yeah.
Okay, super. Will there be a staff project manager to ensure that all the work is undertaken to a high standard by the 5 different supporters? Will there be a staff member from the?
Well, I would imagine that's a good question. I would imagine the director of facility who wasn't able to attend tonight will have his hands pretty involved in everything past this point, and he has been involved. And I'm not a construction guy. The other guys on that name are very adept at it.
Oh, no question there, but that's exactly my point. The other guys on the list are adept, but there's 5 to make them coordinated and work as one. You need a project manager.
I would say that Sam Myers with Nantucket Yard Guard, he's been the guy that's been getting everybody together. I think he would, and he's here, and maybe he can speak to that too. But he's my first phone call.
Okay. But wouldn't it be better if there was a school's staff person making sure that this new facility on school property is a project manager?
If I may, I am happy to work with Chip Clooney on this. Chip will be 100% involved. Whether or not he is the manager of the entire project, obviously he's not a dugout designer, but certainly it will be important for him to be fully involved. He could not come this evening. He is actually attending the PFAS presentation at the Ford Fairgrounds.
Super. All right. If I can keep, do you want me to keep going?
Yeah.
Super. All right. What are the post-construction maintenance costs for these facilities, and who will pay for them?
Fair question. Post-construction maintenance costs.
If I may,
Yeah.
it will fall on the schools.
Right. I would imagine that that's the case, that
Yeah.
would fall under Chip's purview.
It
That's
will.
good. So just to be clear, we're looking at a restricted budget we heard about earlier, but we're going to have new maintenance and new facilities. Granted, we're getting them for free, but it's going to be an increase to the maintenance budget. Has that been accounted for already?
Not yet, simply because we we assume that the project will be completed over the course of this year, but if that's not the case, then obviously we'll need to determine that. I believe that the facilities budget, when presented in the following months, as we move budget forward, you'll see that that our budgets have been brought up or will be brought up to a reasonable level in keeping this as part of that as well.
Super. All right. Do you have any kind of memorandum of understanding between the 5 partners and the school, in case one of the partners backs out, so you can continue in the absence of one? Do you have any MOUs or any memorandums of understanding?
No.
What happens if one partner backs out?
This is Nantucket. Somebody steps up.
How does that work financially?
Could you be more?
Well, what if another person comes in and says, okay, I'll step up, but only if the school puts in the money?
Then we find somebody else. I'm not concerned about, look, I can speak to the integrity of the individuals that I named. I wouldn't be standing here in front of you guys wasting anybody's time if I didn't have their word.
I appreciate that, but legally, what's that worth?
So,
Memorandum
What-
of understanding is a legal agreement.
yeah,
Can you get that?
I can get some advisement on whether I want to get
If I
that.
may, I can
Please.
assist, Jack, I can assist you in creating a memorandum of understanding that can assist with your project.
Okay.
Certainly, Chip Clune and I are fully versed in the memoranda of understanding, so.
Okay.
Does that solve the problem?
I'd like to see it in writing.
Of
first.
course, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep, and just as a question as an aside, I appreciate one major thing, that this construction doesn't fall in the town. Do you have a dollar value for how much this will cost?
Yeah, I think the page maybe after the drawings is a quote.
The pricing came in after the meeting was posted, and that's why it's not on the agenda for vote. I can send that to you.
Thank you.
That'd be helpful.
Do you have a dollar value?
Yeah, 110,000.
110,000.
That was for building
Thank you.
materials, but then there was another estimate from Tuscana for around 5,000.
Yep,
For cement.
for the concrete.
So 150.
And I will send that to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Esmeralda?
No questions.
Chantal?
I don't know anything about baseball. I'm the first to tell you. I tried playing softball for one day. It didn't work out. And I imagine it's probably nothing like it. Nonetheless, I commend you for your efforts in taking the initiative to put together this group, or whoever is leading the initiative to put together this group to address the need for a dugout. I mean, our kids rely so heavily on sports to have a healthy outlet. And like we keep talking about the potential turf field, we need to make sure that all of our facilities are up to par for their needs. I'm curious, do you have, if, let's say, we vote at the next meeting, if you will, since we're not voting tonight, what the timeline looks like for completion of the project?
Yeah, I mean, the goal is going to be having it constructed and ready for the start of this season, which is late March.
Okay. Thank you. And then, I guess, since Chip isn't here, Beth, this is more so a question for you. Just curious about how this plays into our overall campus-wide master plan.
This is not something that really affects our master plan, simply because it's an addition to our current field. It's an upgrade on what we currently have as a pseudo dugout, which is basically benches and chain link. So we are so grateful and thankful to this team of individuals who are willing to donate time and construction materials to do this. To speak briefly to the idea of upgrading other fields and putting dugouts on other fields, one of which would be at the elementary field right next to the central office. if we, if that were a possibility and this, this project was successful, that's great. We do have to keep in mind that currently on our campus-wide master plan, the location of a new school is right in that area. So I would suggest at the moment that we concentrate on this project and then worry about additional upgrades as we see how things shake out with a potential new building.
That does raise one more question, and Chantal already hit on it. Is there any future planning for this site where it might be needed for another use?
I don't believe so. This is going to be dedicated to baseball. It is specific to baseball. It is constructed for baseball. It will not be changed at any time soon.
Super, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I'd just like to touch on something real quick. I, like you have said, have not played baseball ever, but I feel like I know enough people on the baseball team and just in the school in general to really appreciate what you've, the designs you've brought here. They look very nice, and I've heard, numerous complaints about the current dugout system, which are just benches over the course of my high school career, so I really want to thank you for presenting this tonight.
Thank you very much.
No, it's a very valuable project. I just want to make sure that the school and the district are covered for a number of eventualities. This is a marvelous idea, not taking from that at all. I'm just making sure that we don't have any legal repercussions, financial repercussions, which is something that the committee must consider.
Got it.
I applaud this effort, Jack, and I think it's a wonderful opportunity to elevate these fields. And I also applaud the fact that you did your own fundraising, which is not easy. And I think it speaks volumes about the project and the heart behind it. So congratulations.
Thanks. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, truly.
Moving on to new e-bike regulations from Chief Jody Casper.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me here, and I enjoyed hearing the discussion about lots of different topics before the school committee. I just wanted to check in a little bit and let everyone know that we're working on a bike safety campaign, which you probably, hopefully, have heard about. I think there's been good coverage of it so far. I think without a doubt, when leaders of organizations get asked what keeps you up at night, it's e-bikes and bicycle safety, and that I'm going to get a phone call that an officer on the Nantucket Police Department is going to have to go knock on a door and make a notification to a parent. We have had a lot of very close calls. This is a very common occurrence that we have kids getting into accidents and adults getting into accidents, striking pedestrians, striking other bikes, and hitting cars and getting hit by cars. So this is something that I'm sure we can all agree we've probably witnessed something concerning. We've been involved in something. You know someone who has. So without a doubt, this is something that I think we all agree is a high priority for safety in our community, and certainly our students are particularly affected since so many are riding their bikes. So I just wanted to mention that the definition of an e-bike, because I know there's a lot of confusion on e-bikes and what they are, is that we use the definition for e-bikes that's in Mass General Law. So Mass General Law defines e-bikes as a bike that basically has pedals and goes no more than 20 miles an hour with assist. There is a such thing as a Class 3 e-bike. You may have heard of those things, but Class 3 e-bikes, which go up to 28, are actually not in Massachusetts law. Might they be in the future? They might. They probably will be, but they're not now. And right now we're working with the framework of Mass General Law that's in existence today. So this could change. There's a current bill pending that includes Class 3 bikes. So this could change over time, but my guess is even if that is introduced, there'll probably be a minimum age requirement on those. So for now, when we think of the term e-bike, it's really just pedals, no more than 20. Anything else that anybody is on, if they're going 25 or 35 on something electric with 2 or 1 wheels, is going to be classified as something else. And what it's being classified as is something that requires a license or a learner's permit. So therefore, anything going over 20 can't be ridden by anyone that's under the age of 16. I know this has been difficult for many. A few of my friends have texted me Grinch pictures. I know Christmas is coming. But please, we want parents to be informed about what they're buying, to understand what can be ridden by kids in the community, and really what an e-bike is. And just to share with you that even though a marketer may say something is an e-bike, and it may say that on the box, you know, once you receive it and open it up here in Massachusetts, it might not qualify as that. Further, it is very easy for those of you that might have an e-bike to buy one that has a max speed of 20, and then when you get it home, you hit a few buttons, and now it can go 35 miles an hour. So even if you might buy your kid an e-bike and you think, oh, this one is good, this is within the law, it's very easy. You can do some quick Googling to take a look at how to modify e-bikes. So that is, we are out in force. Hopefully you've seen us out there. We've done 17 or 18 fixed post enforcement waves so far, beginning on Friday morning. So you may have seen us in front of the school, around the school racks. You may have seen us out there. And a few other strategic areas that we've picked. We've picked these are areas where we have high traffic of bikes, and also where we feel it's the safest to stop people who are on bikes. We want to be really careful doing any sort of stops. You are very unlikely to see a police car with its lights on chasing a bike. That's not what we're doing. We really want to be safe. But we need to be able to educate people and make sure that we're notifying parents as well when we find kids that are on things that they really shouldn't be on. So we've been out there. The officers have done a great job doing a lot of stops, doing a lot of education, calling some parents, and hopefully improving the safety of our roadways. So we'll continue to be out there. We've met with school administration. We appreciate the collaboration between our different entities. Just talking about, we talked a little bit about bike registration and bike safety, and us working together with communicating with parents and making sure we're all on the same page. So I appreciate the collaboration, and we'll continue to be out there, and happy to answer any questions if you have any. I don't think this is a very controversial topic in the sense that I think we all agree it's very dangerous and really want to see a reduction in accidents that we're seeing.
If I may add, to the chair, we have seen a dramatic drop in electric bike usage based on the campaign that has come out and the information that's been shared with the community. The press release, the radio, all of it has been positive in following the rules. And I'm proud to share that our students are taking this seriously, and they are wearing helmets too, which is quite important. So we still have work to do. We're still dealing with some specifics, but thank you very much for this. It's been, just in the short time it's been in place, it's already been a positive change.
I'm so glad to hear that. The officers have really done a good job, and actually thank you for bringing up helmets. I should have brought it up myself, where helmets are also required for all riders, adults and children on our island, so very important as well.
Thank you.
Any questions?
No, just an observation. I've seen the officers going in for drop-off and pick-up, and I've seen them there to be commended. Thank you.
Absolutely.
No questions.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. You can still ask.
Are you sure?
No, we do have one question from our students. Oh, there are two.
I'm kidding, I'm teasing
You're fresh today.
It's less of a question and more of like a concern or an observation. I just wanted to touch on like the dramatic e-bike like drop off. A lot of students are like, well, I should first start by saying that teenagers are notoriously bad at looking out for their own self-interest. I'm gonna just rat on everyone right there. But among the students, there has been like this general uneasy feeling about having the police stop and like lock bikes up at the bike racks at the start of the school day. And I do have to commend you on making helmets required for all bike riders. That was the main point I was going to touch on in my report at the end of this. But other than that, I think maybe just looking at getting having ways of getting the students more on board than they currently are, because there are certainly some that are completely fine with it, and there are certainly some that are not. So something, just look into that. I have no like solutions
If I
right now,
may.
but
Yes.
I want to just clarify about locking bikes to the bike rack. So we have been communicating for months now, since the beginning of the school year, around the expectations around registering bikes with middle and high school. And we have given warnings, we have spoken with students, we have shared that this is a warning that your bike will be locked. And some students have just disregarded those notifications. So the idea is to lock a bike to the bike rack, in which case then the student needs to find an adult who can unlock it and have a conversation around next steps, which is you need to fill out this paperwork in order to register your bike with your school, so that we know that you are here and have been permitted to have your bike on campus. So that has worked in some instances. And again, like I said, there's been kind of a dramatic drop anyway. But it was a short period of time, and I think it kind of caught people by surprise in that nothing had really been done before. And now, after multiple messages to students, including the expectation of a class, and even told in class the importance of registering, I think people finally realize that we mean business. So it's all about safety. That's the most important thing.
Is there a second question, or is that's good?
I was being fresh.
She was being fresh. That's what was happening on this
No,
side of the
thank
table. Yes.
Okay.
Thank
then.
you. Thank
All
you
right,
very
thank
much.
you all.
Thanks, Jody.
Community school update with Alicia Grazia Day. And Andrea. Yes. Hi, Andrea.
Thought all of these people came tonight to hear our
I'm
presentation.
I think they did.
Hold on, can I just oh dear, oh my gosh. Can I use these instead? There we go.
Arrows.
Yeah, that's the way to go. Thank you for having us tonight. So I'm not alone. I have my assistant director, Andrea Wolfleff, as well. I'm Alicia Graziade, the executive director of Nantucket Community School. And we just wanted to give a programming update, especially given the agenda tonight. So no worries. This will be a nice one for everyone. Hold on to your hats. Whoops. I know. I'm sorry. I just messed it up. All right. Do you want me to start?
I can start.
You want me to start? Go ahead.
This is just I'm sorry, my allergies.
I get really
I have,
close here.
I
Why don't we
feel
turn?
you. I have the worst voice right now. This is a list of, I would say, about 95% of the current offerings we had this fall. There are one or two things missing from this list, but mostly because there are things like adult driving hours that we don't really have a registration for online. But you can see we have really quite a robust and diverse selection of programs this year. Our ESOL classes just wrapped up with a really great potluck dinner at the end. We have quite a few new adult ed, what we would call professional development or continuing education, professional education programs. Like, trying to put my glasses on, that actually might help a little bit too here. The construction supervisor licensure, that's new this year, and the deconstruction, adaptive reuse, and circular economy workshop that was done in conjunction with Remain. Those were some really great classes in our adult ed programming. You can see the other, did we add, the family swim is our free family, we offer free family swim every Saturday in 2 sessions. The Nantucket Triathlon Club sponsors that, so we're really excited to allow as many families as possible to use the pool free of charge.
So, as you can see, as Andrea said, there's quite a bit of diversity with what we're offering right now. But over the years, what the community school done has changed, and I just want to point that out. So when I was a student, I took Sculpey beading after school at the community school and learned how to crochet. And those were all wonderful activities, but we really are aiming more for life skill-based essential classes now. And I just want to show you a few of the buckets where our programming currently sits. So we identified 5 major buckets. So the first is child care and family support, workforce development, youth health and wellness, community health and safety, and language acquisition. So those sort of go between all of our departments. It's not that there's a department for each of these buckets, but the programs fall within them, depending on the age and where they land.
So, workforce development, that is the phrase I was trying to remember before. There it is. One thing I'd like to point out about this too is that this is the first year in 2 or 3 years we've been able to run the real estate pre-license class for adults. So for the past couple of years we've had such low enrollment in it that the class hasn't run. But this year we had quite a few people who are interested in getting their real estate licenses. And the test center is particularly used by teachers, so they don't have to go off island for to take their MTELs and that kind of stuff.
So under child care and family support, and again, these are just a couple of each. This does not include everything, but just some highlights. We do have robust camp, hoping that this coming summer we can have baseball camp in the new dugouts. Really not actually a dream. I just didn't know we were going to have dugouts until tonight. Extended day for our kindergartners that can't go to the club. We have half-day programming. Currently right now it's cheerleading with Miss Jasmine because it's very popular. They had a great routine over at our homecoming exhibition this year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was great. Lots and lots of free play groups with early childhood, Circle of Moms. Ready, Set, School, and Summer Boost are 2 programs that help students that do not have a chance to go to preschool or are not enrolled in preschool to have kindergarten readiness skills. So Ready, Set, School is during the school year. It goes then into Summer Boost, which is a summer program that we run for those families.
So, some of the most essential programs we run have to do more with community health and safety. So we offer CPR and first aid. I believe we're the only entity on the island where you can get CPR certification. The driver's education, I feel like I have a 17-year-old right now who's about to get his license soon, and I am so excited that he can take driver's ed. I feel like it's benefiting the entire community to make sure these kids know how to drive. And then we also have a drastic increase in adult driving hours. A lot of adults are looking to get their license now, which is a really good opportunity for us to make sure that if you weren't able to take driver's ed in high school, now you have some training. Lifeguard training is new for us this year too, so we can, instead of sending our lifeguards off island or bringing someone on the island to train all the lifeguards, we can teach that here ourselves now, which is a really beneficial new program. The Learn to Swim program for adults has now a beginner and intermediate section because it's become so popular. So those Learn to Swim, we live on an island, so obviously swimming is an important life skill here.
In our language acquisition bucket, so this is something that we've really been trying to expand. Our ESOL program is quite robust. We just had about 75 that graduated their first term last week, and we'll be starting the second section in January. A lot of them will be re-enrolling just into their current or next level because we do 4 levels. We have 2 beginner adult classes for Spanish and intermediate for English speakers right now. Spanish for beginners and intermediate Spanish for English speakers, and then also Portuguese for English speakers. That's also a beginner's class. And then this year we've also added Spanish for Niños, which is our children's Spanish classes. So that's for ages 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 currently, although we are hoping to add a next section and start increasing the ages. We just hired a new Spanish teacher as well, who is currently a CPS teacher.
So the last bucket is youth programs, and we really try to have unique programs that are not covered by another organization on the island. And so we run oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, just go down one more.
There we go. We run the Nantucket Aquatics swim team. They used to be the Dolphins, now called the Nantucket Aquatics. That's separate from the high school team. We have gymnastics that takes place pretty much at NES in their gymnasium. Dance, diving is new in the past, I would say, 2 or 3 weeks. We just started a new session with a new coach, and she's fantastic. Tennis, we've been able to stretch tennis as far as possible into the fall before it's just too cold and windy to continue, unfortunately. But that's been a really strong program since the tennis courts were built. Strength and stretch, that's another Miss Jasmine program for kids. It's not necessarily gymnastics or dance, but it's just overall fitness, and that's been really popular. And obviously cheerleading, which Alicia also mentioned.
So looking ahead for our winter registrations, which are actually opening in early December, so the first 2 weeks in December, all of our departments will open up winter registration starting in January. We have a new citizenship course coming up, and that actually came to us from our ESOL students. They brought that to our attention. We do have an instructor, but I don't have a contract for him yet, so I'm not going to announce him tonight, but I assure you that he will be wonderful. We also are starting a new Introduction to AI course with our tech director at NPS, Stephanie Hoban. We're very excited about that. Financial literacy, which we're going to be doing in partnership with Hingham Bank. They're going to be coming in and doing adult financial literacy, older teens as well, if they're interested. Now, childbirth education we've been offering for years, but now it's going to be free starting in January because we just received a very generous grant from Blue Cross Blue Shield that was written with Community Solutions for Behavioral Health. So Rosemary really helped us out with this one, and we were just awarded the full amount. So we're also trying to hire some new bilingual instructors as well. That's part of this grant, but the first step is that it'll be free in January. And we have a new baby water class starting up actually tomorrow called Water Bugs. And it's volunteers. There are moms from our playgroups that are coming in, and we are training them with Doreen Allen, who used to run this program years and years ago at the pool. And that is going to be sort of like a new playgroup, but at the pool. So those very early, getting used to the water, blowing bubbles, feeling comfortable in the water. It'll be great. Any questions?
Vince?
No, just comment, not question. This is extremely good stuff. Delighted to see all these new things coming on board. It's, legal terms again, but it's like somebody did a gap analysis, figured out what's missing, and then filled it. That's what I see here.
We actually do try to do that a little bit. Like, where's the need and what's not being offered, and can we find someone to do it?
Right.
And massive kudos on the citizenship course, the free childbirth education, all of it. Sorry.
Thank you.
Esmeralda?
No questions, just echo Vince's comments.
Thank you.
Okay. I just have a question. It looks great. It looks so robust, and I love that there's all these sort of different movement opportunities for children. Is Circle of Moms a national organization? So we have a chapter here?
I don't believe it is. I don't think that's a trademark program. We used to run Aqua Tots, which was trademarked, but I don't think Circle of Moms is.
That's never come up, and I've never heard of it being trademarked, so I don't believe that to be true.
Okay, I'm just curious about it because I
No, it's a good question.
Yeah, because I read, I don't know, I was searching, chat GPTing, and I came up and I didn't, and it seemed like there was like a wider net than just Nantucket, but it could be.
It could be, given that it's one of Pauline's programs and it's part of our ACC funding from the state, it could be that it's part of that, and I can find that out for you. Because Pauline will know the answer. She's been with us for 20 years, so.
Sometimes the institutional memory of those kinds of things, it could have started off that way, and we just called it that for so many years, and then we forget that that's where it is.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even have, it was just, I was curious about it. And then I have one other question.
Go ahead.
Just because I feel like this is a phenomenon because we live on an island, once people get their driver's license, and then I know a lot of people that will not drive off island. And has there ever been any thought?
I've never driven on the highway.
Stop it.
I know, it's embarrassing, and I run in driving
You should
school.
not be embarrassed. But we should, it's terrifying when your child is driving off island. but I think, I just wonder about that. And I just sort of put that out into the ether because I do think there is, it's kind of like New Yorkers don't get their driver's licenses, Nantucketers don't drive off island as regularly.
We do encourage students to go with their, well, we encourage the parents to take their kids. Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay.
I know Amy's our driver's ed coordinator. She encourages parents to take their students. The idea of driver's ed is that we're not necessarily teaching the kids to drive. The parents are teaching to drive. We're just giving them the foundation and the rules, making sure that they are prepared for their test. But they have to drive for 15 hours with their parents before they can get behind the wheel of our car. That's just for the safety of our own instructors. But we always encourage families to do that. I mean, it's scary. I'm not looking forward to getting on the highway with my son at Thanksgiving. It's going to have to happen. But, we did red lights last time we were off island.
Right.
But it's strange. There are definitely things that they will encounter. But they're great at parallel parking, and they're really good at rotaries, which some people off island can't do.
That is a very good point. Yes.
If I may, I just want to sing the praises of the executive director and the assistant director. This is an organization that is so crucial to this island, to us as a public school district, but also the greater community. And I always wonder, what would happen if we didn't have these programs? What would happen if we didn't have the opportunity to teach children how to drive, to teach adults how to drive? What would happen if we couldn't teach students how, or teach people how to swim? And we live on an island and we have to take ferries every day. And so I hope you'll join me in really supporting and sharing the importance of this organization with the greater community because they are essential. And I agree, you've gone a long way from beading and crocheting to CPR and driver's ed and aquatots and all of the really important programs that you offer. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you.
The dog class this summer saved my life. Thank you.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that.
He's not a monster anymore.
And FY26 first quarter update and food service update. Martin.
Everybody's highlight. So, good evening, Martin Angelov, Chief Financial Officer for Nantucket Public Schools. First quarter update, as you see from the documents that were sent and the attached summary, the first quarter expenses combined, operating and salaries, are up around $882,000 over the same period in FY25. On the salary side, the expenses are up close to $175,000. Operating wise, we are at a similar point to where we were last year. In total expenditures, 26% of budget has been expended or is encumbered. On the payroll side, we're at 10% expended compared to 11%. All these numbers, I just want to emphasize two things. The salaries, we've had some unfilled positions, so the $175,000 increase reflects the fact that we haven't been able to fill some positions. And that is why we have had to go to contract those services from outside providers. The biggest increase we see this year on the operating side is professional services, and those are mostly driven from the fact that we haven't been able to hire board-certified behavior analyst, speech and language pathologist, school psychologist, for the Nantucket Public Schools, and we've had to outsource those services to be able to provide them to our special needs students. Additional pressures continue from prior years. As reported, we are still seeing increases in repair and maintenance expenses, contracts. The busing contract, for instance, in total for the district went up $72,000 this year. New vehicle leases at different prices, and here we are. So that is the school part of the budget. Like I said, we continue to emphasize, and in our FY27 discussions that we've had internally and the communication we've had with town, this is our focus. We need to replenish our operating side of the budget and budget appropriately, because right now that is where the pressure is. That we've seen the past 2 years. For the community school, as you've heard, they're not only doing great program-wise, finance-wise. The community school is doing as well as they can be, all things considered. The appropriation that we received from town has stayed at $600,000 for FY26, same as last year, but revenues have increased close to $153,000, actually over $153,000. Those are driven by increases in the summer camp and the sport recreation programs, as well as pool revenues, and another kind of an accounting technicality. As you will see from the report about the community school, we are now recording all donations that are being given and that you as a school committee approve as part of the agenda into these revolvers. In prior years, they used to be recorded in specific gift funds that are separate, but I think for transparency purposes and also for accounting purposes, so that we don't have to reconcile so many accounts, we spoke with town, we reached out to our auditors, and now we're bringing in donations in the donations line of each revolver. So we're going to be depositing them obviously within the parameters of the way that they're written and they're given to us and accepted by the school committee, but they'll be going and you'll be seeing them as part of this report, as opposed to being in a gift fund that we don't usually report on. On the expense side, the expenses have increased a little over $103,000. That is driven mostly by health insurance increases and salary contractual obligations. We are in negotiations with town. Obviously, for FY27, we'll see what we can do. It has been our opinion that we need to probably see if we can increase the general fund subsidy that is being given to the community school on a yearly basis. For the school lunch program, the deficit is over $36,000 as of now. That is within what is to be expected. We are seeing a delay in payments from the state and federal. That is part of the ongoing craziness in handling federal funds, and that has caused significant delays in the reimbursements we get. As you know, school lunches and breakfast are free for all students throughout Massachusetts, and that requires obviously for us to submit for reimbursements. Those reimbursements rates for this year are $4.65 for a lunch and $2.46 for a breakfast, which barely covers costs, but that is what we rely on, and obviously we have a budgeted subsidy from our operating side of the budget to make the school lunch program whole. The delay we have submitted obviously for all the months that we have been in school for September and October. Everything has been submitted timely. We're just waiting for these reimbursements to be paid once funds become available. So, and the other part I didn't mention is that the deficit is very similar to last year. Last year was around 32,000. This year it's 36. We have a contractual agreement with Chartwells that this year's subsidy would not be above $89,000 for the year. So I'll take any questions.
Vince?
Outstanding. No, this is, I'm always in awe of how you manage this. This is tough going and well done.
Thank you.
Esmeralda?
No questions.
Chantal?
I'm just wondering what can we as a school committee or as a community as a whole do to support the efforts to increase the town's contributions to the community school?
It's part of negotiations. Obviously, it's an ongoing discussion with the town finance director and the town manager. So we'll see how it all plays out. We will have, I believe the town manager has expressed interest in bringing back the budget work group, which has been kind of a sporadic group that has an ad hoc, it's ad hoc budget work group, but I think in light of all the pressures that the town as a whole, not just the school, not just the community school, the whole town is facing, I think it benefits everybody if we have this work group reestablished, and it involves school committee members as well as part of the administration that would participate and present our case for the school and the community school to town officials. So.
Thank you. If I may, I would hope, you have heard me and Alicia and others, talk about the community school and the importance of it. I would hope that we could potentially offer an opportunity for the community school to present to the select board so that the greater community does understand. While we have a good viewership here, I think there's so much that they do, even though they are under the public schools with regard to management. It's still what they serve beyond us is so important. So that's an area I'm hoping to investigate to see if perhaps they could present at a select board meeting.
Thank you.
No questions?
No questions. I don't understand what's going on. I'm going to be completely honest. But you do, and that's very impressive. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Martin.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to community discussion and votes to be taken. Vote to approve December 23rd, 2025 as an early release day.
If I may, I'm happy to discuss that.
Yes,
briefly.
thank you.
Normally, December 23rd, we do have the 24th as a day off from school. I would really appreciate it if the school committee would allow us to offer an early release day. The 24th is often a Christmas for many families, not the 25th, the 24th. And the time it takes to travel and see loved ones is challenging. We've had a pretty rough start to this year emotionally, and I think that students and staff would appreciate an opportunity this year to have a little extra time with parents and with family and friends. So I would hope that the school committee might consider that for this year. For all staff, it would be for all staff. We would shut down school early and allow people to spend time.
Should the chair always make that motion?
Yes?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Vote to approve the donation from the Nantucket Triathlon Club for $5,000 to the Nantucket Community School Family Swim Program. Have a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Vote to approve the donation from the Sconset Union Chapel for $3,000 to the Nantucket Community School Summer Boost Program.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Vote to approve the high school trip to Marine Biology Laboratory Woods Hole, November 16th through 19th.
So moved.
And second, and a brief comment. They're
Yes.
going to study CRISPR. That's amazing.
Very cool. All in favor?
Aye.
Vote to approve the donation from the Nantucket Wine and Food Festival for $10,000 to the NHA Student Culinary Arts account. May I have a
So
mo-
moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Vote to approve the following donations totaling $8,600 to the NHS CPS Music Department to be used for the Disney field trip from ACK Carpet and Upholstery for $100, Powers Landscaping for $3,000, Glidden and Brescher PC for $3,000, Congdon and Coleman Insurance Agency for $250, BPS Architecture for $1,500, ACK General Services for $100, Ann and Joseph Topham for $100, BP 11, BF 15, The Trinity Collection Inc. for $50, Catherine Jetter Ltd. for $500. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Vote to approve the following donations totaling $1,350, oh, that would have been nice. $1,350 to the NHS CPS Music Department to be used for the Disney field trip from Island Energy Services for $500, Fisher Real Estate for $150, the Juice Bar for $250, Dalton Real Estate for $250, Christine and Henry Harding for $200. Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Vote to approve the following donations totaling $1,500 to the NHS CPS Music Department Also to be used for the Disney field trip from Toscana Corporation for $500. All Dirty Work Services LLC for $1,500.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Vote to approve the September 2nd meeting minutes.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, that doesn't make
Table- oh.
sense. That math doesn't math. On H for 15.
Oh.
Yeah,
Thank you.
because all dirty work for 1,500 and Toscana for 500 makes it a total of 2,000.
For the chair, it's $1,000 from all dirty work.
Ah, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Chantal, for catching that.
Paid attention in math class.
We are, do I need to vote on that? Do I need to vote? We are tabling all the meeting minutes to our December 8th meeting. So I'm going to vote to approve transfers, vote to approve transfers and invoices.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, and moving on to our student council representative, Danielle Lewis.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm going to keep this very brief, especially because during public forum there was so many people who said the things that I was going to say. But I really tried to play devil's advocate with this one, and I did search around the school looking for an opinion that, maybe someone out there that just didn't get a chance to speak doesn't want turf fields. I couldn't do it. Majority of the students desperately want the turf fields installed, and the small minority just isn't involved in the athletic part of the school enough to have an opinion either which way. So something to think about. The fall sports are wrapping up and are finished already, and the drama club fall show has been completed. That was very nice. I've heard. And then I think everyone's excited for winter. Everyone's going to do something, honestly. It's just how Nantucket School operates. And then we have a lot of field trips coming up. I think the Disney trip is the one people are mainly excited about, and we've gotten donations for that. So thank you to the community at large. And that's about it.
All right, thank you. Any subcommittee work group reports?
I am happy to remind our negotiations subcommittee that we need to have a preparation meeting. Our first meeting with NTA will be on December 11th, which is a Thursday, and I believe we have set the meeting to 3 p.m. So between now and then, I'd like to get our group together, our negotiating group together, and discuss all the things to start. We also, as Martin alluded to, have been requested, possibly, we still aren't entirely sure, it has not been confirmed, but the town is looking for us to have our ad hoc budget work group come together. The ad hoc group is the chair and vice chair, so that means Laura Gallagher-Byrne and Chantal Boyce-Murphy to discuss any budget situations that need to be addressed, particularly around our budget. So, okay.
All right, agenda for the next meeting?
If I
I'm sorry.
may,
Oh, sorry.
Esmeralda, you have some additional work on the,
Oh, I'm sorry.
that's okay.
I did attend the Cape Cod Cooler
Bravo, bravo.
It was a virtual meeting. It happened October 15th. It's interesting.
It is.
Very. They no longer will be doing the Crackle Barrel 15-minute start. Which, other than that, they were just speaking of everybody being sort of fully staffed. Mashpee was fully staffed. Bourne was fully staffed. Monomoy, Nauset, Toro, and Nantucket, where we added additional routes and unfortunately lost a driver as well. And they're looking for drivers, and training is paid. So if anybody knows someone that would be interesting to be one of our drivers.
If I may, We do have a 7D vehicle on the premises.
Oh,
So we are
nice.
looking for 7D drivers. So I'm sending this out to the world. If anyone is interested in driving a 7D vehicle, it is not a difficult lift in order to obtain that license. And Cape Cod Collaborative is happy to talk with anyone who's interested about the process. I believe that the going rate, and forgive me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's $33 an hour. We do have a need. It will help greatly in transporting students who are at the far reaches of our island and can cut down on some time in getting out to those locations so that we can potentially cut down our times. With one fewer large bus driver, we have had to go back to doubling up. And it means some children are on the bus for a very, very long time. And that's difficult. And I know because I've witnessed it and been on the buses myself. So when you pick up children in Nantucket at 6:30 and don't get them to school until 7:30, that's a long time for children to be sitting on a bus. So I would love to entertain the opportunity for some 7D drivers. And we could have more than one, even though we have one vehicle, and they are willing to bring us more. So we will find parking spaces for them, and hopefully we can find some folks who would be willing to do that.
That's great. Okay. So, agenda for the next meeting?
Yes, our next meeting, we will talk about student enrollment again because it'll be the month of December. We will share the federal grants information. We will give you a quick debrief on the competency determination update. There have been some changes at on the state side around competency determination, so we'll share those. A possible ESL update, but I believe that might be moved until January. And then obviously we will offer the Vito Capizzo Stadium renovation discussion if it is the date that works for our materials scientists that we contracted with Weston and Sampson.
All right. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.